is now upon us, and with that we have yet another year of video games to look forward to. And looking back on 2022, it was definitely a little bit of a slower year. I think most will agree. While we did get a lot of fantastic releases such as Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Lego Star Wars, and of course my personal game of the year, Stray, I think looking ahead at 2023, it's going to be a lot more of an action-packed year, and it's got a lot more going on throughout the year to keep us excited. And what I wanted to do in this video was just go through which video games I personally am looking forward to the most in 2023, and just give you a quick rundown of why I'm excited about those games and what I feel like they're going to bring to the industry this year. Now, before we dive into my real choices, I would like to just put out a couple of caveats sort of at the very beginning. First of all, Death Stranding 2. I'm mainly including Death Stranding 2 on this list because I have no idea when this game's coming out. Is it coming out this year? Probably not. I'm going to say very unlikely. I reckon this is a 2024 release. However, I have such a strong love-hate relationship with the original Death Stranding, so much to the point that I am incredibly hyped for this. When this was announced at the Game Awards, I just was obsessed with that trailer. I can't wait to dive into it more. And Death Stranding, I think, with Kojima coming back to do this sequel, I feel like this game is going to explore even more of what the first game did, which had such an incredible world and incredible characters, but is also going to be potentially maybe a completely different game, which I think would be really interesting. So Death Stranding 2, probably not going to come out this year, but if it does, then this is very much at the top of my most anticipated. And just as a second little outlier, Xbox exclusives. Now, I've bundled about 3 of these together purely for the fact that I currently don't own an Xbox. I had one about 6 months ago. I currently don't have one. So if I do end up getting one this year, then there are some games I am looking forward to, mostly the new Forza Motorsport from Turn 10, just because that's my personal favourite Xbox series. I love Forza. I think they're the best racing games you can find. I love them. So a new Forza game, I'm on board for that. Redfall, the new game from Arcane, that sort of co-op vampire slaying game, just looks so much fun. And then of course we have Starfield, the new game from Bethesda, many years in the making. And in my opinion, Starfield just it could be really interesting. It also could be really dull and really boring. With Bethesda, it can kind of go either way. Like, I'm a huge fan of Skyrim, but I didn't particularly care for the Fallout games all too much. Some more than others, but it's a pretty. They're not games I hold in a particularly high regard. But it's always exciting when a new Bethesda game comes out, so Starfield being an Xbox exclusive, it's definitely one to keep an eye on. However, moving actually into the list of games that have got a 2023 release date, we have Resident Evil 4, the remake. This is a series that I've really delved into in the last couple of years. I have played the Resident Evil 2 remake, the 3 remake, I played Biohazard, and I'm also actually currently playing Resident Evil Village. This is a series I am really enjoying sort of getting my teeth into. It's just got such a great world, great characters, fantastic gameplay, and it's just a series that, while I've never touched previously, just going into them recently has just been such a fun time for me. And Resident Evil 4 remake, I knew they were going to do this. Like, it was so obvious that, we all knew a Resident Evil 4 remake was going to come out. It was just a matter of when, not if. But everything we've seen from it so far looks great. It looks just as high quality and just as polished as the other remakes. And supposedly this is the greatest game in the series. I think it depends on who you speak to. Some people say 2, some people say 4. But I think generally speaking, Resident Evil 4 is considered to be the best game in the series and one of the best survival horror games of all time. And as someone who's never played it, I am more than excited to delve into it and continue the story of this Resident Evil universe, but also just to play this incredibly iconic game from years yonder. I just think it's going to be such a great experience, and I think this could be the greatest remake that Capcom have done so far. Another game I'm incredibly excited about is Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Jedi Survivor is just looking awesome. As a direct sequel to Jedi Fallen Order, which I also absolutely adored back in 2019, it's safe to say I'm pretty hyped about this one. Just continuing the story, but also more specifically the gameplay advances that seem to be appearing in this game. We seem to have a blaster in this one, which I think is a pretty interesting thing to add in, because the game is so heavy on lightsaber combat. I think it's going to be quite cool to have sort of a different version of combat, this ranged combat. It depends how deep it is though. But they've also announced that this game to be doing kind of Ghost of Tsushima style stances, which means that using different stances prepares you for different styles of combat, which allows you to take on different types of enemies. So that's very interesting. It is very derivative of Ghost of Tsushima, like that very much is where it came from, but I don't care. It worked in that game, and the combat in Fallen Order was great, so if you combine the two, it can only really be a good thing. But also, the thing that really got me excited about this game, above all else, was, and this is such a Star Wars nerdy thing to say, but the trailer in the Game Awards showcased Cal Kestis using a crossguard lightsaber, which is of course the lightsaber used by Kylo Ren. And Kylo Ren is actually one of my all-time favourite Star Wars characters, and I love his lightsaber, and the fact that I'm going to be able to actually customize my lightsaber in this game, just like in the first one, but allow myself to have a crossguard saber, now that is something that I am incredibly into. Next up, I don't believe this game is officially confirmed for 2023, but that is Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. Now, if I made this video a few weeks ago, I maybe wouldn't have had this on the list. However, in those last few weeks, we have had the release of Avatar: The Way of Water, which, if you have seen my top 10 films of the year video, you'll know that that was my third favourite film of the year. And given the fact that I've been so involved in the world of Pandora and the world of Avatar so much recently, I have just gotten really excited about this game. The idea of this open world game where you completely explore the entirety of Pandora, that just sounds awesome. Like, I am so invested in this world right now. You know, I've always enjoyed the first one, but rewatching it, I really loved it. And the second one, I loved even more. So the idea that Ubisoft are kind of doing, I believe this is the team that did The Division, Ubisoft Massive, the fact that they are taking on the Avatar IP and the Avatar franchise and making their own game of it, that to me just sounds incredible. And I feel like, you know, Ubisoft, they're a little bit hit and miss with their games, particularly recently. At least in my personal opinion. But I feel like if this is a hit, if this does work, this could be incredible and potentially one of the greatest movie to video game adaptations we have seen in a very long time. We also have Assassin's Creed Mirage coming out this year. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about Mirage, purely for the fact I did a video on it a little while ago. So if you want to see my full thoughts on Assassin's Creed Mirage and what we've seen of it so far, check out that video. But just to quickly sum it all up, the fact that this is going to be a return to form of Assassin's Creed as such, it's going to be, you know, as Ubisoft themselves have described it, as a kind of return to the style of Assassin's Creed 1. That just sounds fantastic to me. As someone who's not been too keen on the RPG games like Odyssey, Valhalla, I didn't mind Origins. I thought Origins was quite good, but particularly Odyssey and Valhalla I think were a bit too far for me. Them to say, right, we're going to dial it back and give you a stripped back classic Assassin's Creed adventure, that to me is exactly what I want as a fan of the series. And I love the setting, I love the character. You know, easily one of the highlights of Valhalla was Basim, so I am totally on board with this. I just hope they actually do pull it off and it doesn't end up being a bit of a whimper, and I hope it's actually a bit of a surprise sleeper hit like Assassin's Creed Rogue was back in 2014. And we also have Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. This game, I am actually, it's funny, it's on my most anticipated list, but at the same time, I also am not sure about it. Like, this is developed by Rocksteady, which instantly gives it brownie points. You know, this is the developers of the Arkham series, which I absolutely love. Arkham City, in particular, is in my favourite games of all time. I adore what the studio did with the Arkham series. But them taking on the Suicide Squad and them kind of expanding the Arkham universe so rapidly by giving us not only the Suicide Squad, but also the entirety of the Justice League, that's quite a rapid expansion of this world. Additionally, gameplay wise, I'm not entirely sure what this game is. Like, we've seen snippets of gameplay. We see that obviously you can play as 4 different characters. You've got Harley Quinn, Captain Boomerang, Deadshot, and King Shark. But I'm still not 100% sure, you know, is it very linear where you have to play as a certain character for certain sections, or is it going to be like Gotham Knights where you can choose which character to play at any time and you can kind of upgrade them individually? I don't know. And also, is it going to be kind of as smooth and refined as the Arkham series, or is it going to be a bit more scrappy, a bit like Gotham Knights? I don't know. It seems to be a bit of a mix of both. However, like I say, I love Rocksteady. I trust them with this. I think they're going to do an incredible job, hopefully. This game seems to be taking place in an open world metropolis, which will be a nice change from Gotham. You know, we had essentially 2 games in Gotham, so to move to Metropolis was pretty cool. And like I say, I love the Suicide Squad as a concept. Like, I love the story of it. I love the movies we've had of it. I just think the Suicide Squad is super, super cool. So to get a game with them kind of finally, that's a good sign for me. And to save the best for last, we have Insomniac's Spider-Man 2. I just adore the 2018 Spider-Man. That to me was just such an incredible interpretation of the character, and in my opinion the Yuri Lowenthal voiced version, the Insomniac version of Spider-Man, is my personal favourite interpretation of all time. You know, I love a couple of the movie versions and stuff like that, but that particular version is such quintessential Spider-Man to me. It felt so classic, it added so much to that game. So to see where they're going to go with this is great. Miles Morales is also going to be a huge part of this game as well. You know, I loved the Miles Morales expansion game we got. It was just fantastic, nearly equally as good as the original. We've also got the likes of Tony Todd joining the cast, Candyman himself as Venom. You know, the first game was very heavy on villains. We got basically the entirety of the Sinister Six, which was great. I love that. But this game seems to be focusing a little bit more on just a couple of villains. Like, we know Venom is going to be a huge presence in the game, along with Kraven the Hunter, who is such an interesting villain. So to get them two in front and center, I'm all for it. And like I say, Tony Todd being there to voice, just incredible. And I just can't wait to see how they expand the gameplay, the world. It's just such a fluid experience, and Insomniac is one of the best developers we have out there working today. I love everything they do, so I'm going to be there day one when this game comes out, because I just love that original so much. I love Miles Morales so much, so the idea of them doing a sequel now, all these years later, like I said, day one purchase for me, 100%. So there we go. There's all the games I'm looking forward to most in 2023. There probably is others that are coming out as well that I'm forgetting, but they're the ones that, when I think ahead of the year, they're the ones that stick out to me the most. Do you agree with the list? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Which games are you most looking forward to? As I said in the beginning, I think this is going to be a great year. I think it's going to be a great year to look back on. You know, 2022 had some strong highlights, but maybe wasn't the best all in all. But I think 2023 is going to be a great improvement, and I just can't wait to see which games end up being the best of the year when we get to them. So thank you guys for watching, hope you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe for more, and hope to see you guys again next time.